Okay, so on to the next track / performance of Sammy's Casual Sonic Monster series. We're now moving on to Disturbed, Never Again, live in Tel Aviv. I think this has actually got to do with the Holocaust, so that's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, for those of you who are only joining us now, you guys can go back. Half of the series, or more than half of the series, have already been dropped on Friday, and now we're just going to wrap the series up, right? This is the other half, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, we just came off an absolutely insanely hot track by Bad Omens, and now we're going on to Disturbed, Never Again. Let's see what we got over here. Let's rock and roll. Let's carry on.
עכשיו,
Listen.
שיר מיוחד בשבילכם.
Listen. Quite heavy. So it's definitely about the Holocaust, and it's like the darkest time in our history. That's 100% the darkest time in our history, and specifically for Jewish people. What actually happened. And you know what's crazy? You actually still get Holocaust deniers today. You'll actually still hear, I promise you, I've read in comments where people are like, no, Holocaust was all one big hoax. It never happened, which is absolutely ridiculous. People that do that, that's how Holocausts happen again. Right, is when people start playing into that kind of ideology, and that starts permeating through society, and that starts spreading on top of the compassion, right? Because the majority of things happen through compassion, right? I've had these arguments with people in the comment section before, where they talk about evil people, and I'm like, okay, if you were a German soldier in World War II, would you have stood up? Would you have said, no, what's actually happening is wrong? Or if you were a German person at the time, everyone loves to play into the morality as like, I'm a better person. Like I'm better than who the Nazis was. I'm better than Hitler. I'd never do what they did. Do you know what I mean? The thing is that evil and good lies in every human heart. Right? And if you don't understand that, if you think that you are above that, that's what actually causes things like the Holocaust. Human beings need to understand that they are capable of being Mother Teresa and they are capable of being Hitler at the same time. Every single one of us, right? It just depends on the time, it depends on the power structures and things like that. And the crazy thing is, a lot of what actually happened in Nazi Germany wasn't the actual fact that there were people engaging in those atrocities. It was that the majority of people stayed silent and looked away from atrocities. The silence on the part of the majority is what actually allowed something like that to happen, right? Which is, it's crazy to think, because you get a lot of these people that are narcissistic and that they think they're above all, these self-aggrandizing people that think that they're better than everybody else. I mean, I'd never do that. The ones that come to you and tell you that slavery was wrong. It's like, yes, no shit, Sherlock, we know. we know slavery was wrong. Yes, in 2023, if someone doesn't actually denounce slavery and call it wrong, then yes, there's an absolute problem over there, right? But you know who didn't know that? The people that lived at the time in that system, right? They were very easily swept by it. They turned away. They looked away from those kind of atrocities because of the systems that they were in, right? It's important that we don't create those systems again today, because I'll tell you right now, as progressive as we think we are, right? We will repeat history so fucking quickly. So quickly, it'll all happen again. And people will turn a blind eye yet again, because that's just human nature. And it will all come through compassion, by the way. All of it will just be, they'll play the compassionate thing. The reason why Hitler did what he did is because he came through and he was compassionate to the plight of the Germans from World War I, right? And he sold that, and people are like, no, it's for the betterment of society, it's for this and that. Before you knew it, they were marking Jewish businesses, and before you knew it, they were shutting down Jewish businesses, and before you knew it, Jewish people were being attacked on the streets, and before you knew it, and none of this is all before they started throwing them into gas chambers. It incrementally started, and it was all based on compassion. It was winning over hearts, right? And then convincing people that this was the natural progression, and that they were being good people by doing this, right? That's how we go back into it. That's how we go back into it. It's if you live the lie will encompass an entire society, and then the lie will be the thing you live by. I mean, that's why truth is important. Sticking by truth is important. Creating your own reality and saying that my truth. There's no such thing as my truth. The moment people start creating their truths, then we're in dangerous territory, because it's then you can create whatever truth you want. You can decide that murder is as your truth is fine. Do you know what I mean? There's no such thing as my truth. It is the truth, right? And as long as you stick to the truth, things like that, what happened in the early 20th century, won't happen again. Interesting fact about the Nazi war machine, just to goes to show you in terms of like the human psyche, even though like the most, like murdering people like that in cold blood is not a natural order thing, right? It's not part of the natural order of a human being. So you tend to think to yourself, okay, but these people were cold-blooded killers, right? And they were brought up that way. So yeah, they actually enjoyed killing Jewish people, right? So some people are just like that. But the crazy thing is that innately inside of you, like your heart gets completely tainted when you do something like that, when you kill in cold blood like that, right? That affects the human heart and that affects the human soul. And I don't care how well you've been indoctrinated, it doesn't actually matter. And I'll tell you why. Because there were two reasons why the Germans actually changed their killing style, right, to gas chambers. There were actually two reasons for that. Reason number one was that they made it actually more efficient, essentially. So what they did is they couldn't kill enough, fast enough, so they changed it to, they mechanized death at the end of the day, which is ridiculous that a human being could come up with a system to actually kill people faster, right? They mechanized death. But one of the other reasons, that was one of the big pertinent reasons, is that it was having an effect on their soldiers who were doing the exterminations before they were putting people into gas chambers. They were actually shooting and killing them and putting them in mass graves, right? And as much as these executioners were just cold-blooded animals, right? It actually started psychologically affecting these people to the point that they could not effectively function or operate in their ranks, because what they were doing innately within their soul was tainting them. Psychologically, that death was tainting it. It is not something a human being is designed to just brush off. So even the coldest blood, the coldest killers, right, were being affected by the amount of the exterminations that they were carrying out. That Hitler had to remove his people, make it more clinical, remove his people from actually exterminating Jews, or being the guys that pull the trigger, because literally it was psychologically destroying them, even though they were cold-blooded killers. It just goes to show you, it's just not in the human heart to commit those kind of atrocities. It's not within it's going to taint the soul. Do you know what I mean? We know what is right, we know what is wrong. You know what I mean? And it's going to affect it. It doesn't matter. At some point, it's going to affect the soul. You know what I mean? And that's why people say, oh no, some people just, they don't care. They just, no, it affects them. It 100% affects them, right? A major part as to why they changed it to gas chambers, a major part of that is because their executioners were being heavily affected by executing that amount of people. Do you know what I mean? So, that's why I say, when it comes to that kind of thing, evil and good lies in the same heart, right? You and I are capable of those kind of atrocities, and the only way we don't allow those kind of atrocities to happen again is to be aware of the fact that we are capable of them. We are capable of them. The man in the mirror is capable of that, right? If you think that you're not capable of it and you're above everybody else, then that's the kind of ideology that leads all the way back to it, because you're easily sort of swayed by arguments, and those arguments never come as like strong, hard arguments. Those arguments always come as compassionate arguments. They always start like that. You need to be compassionate towards a minority. You need to be compassionate towards this. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be compassionate, right? Absolutely. But then it's like, oh no, we need to change laws because we need to protect this. And those people are the bad guys. Those people are the ones that are bad. Those are the deplorable ones. Those are the racists. Those are the this. Those are the that. Right? And they start emptying words out of all their meaning. All of their meaning. Words mean nothing anymore. Started in Germany like that. Words mean nothing anymore. They started redefining words. And before you know it, your neighbor was a bad person. Your neighbor was against your viewpoint. Your neighbor was the one that doesn't want to see the country get better, right? Your neighbor is the homophobe. Your neighbor is the racist. Your neighbor is anti-democracy. Your neighbor is the fascist. Do you know what I mean? Do you hear where this rhetoric's coming from? Do you hear where this rhetoric's going? Do you know what I mean? That's where it starts. That's how it starts. That's how it started in Germany. Is people playing people against each other like pawns, right? Got to be very careful of shit like that.
Don't you realize that we lost our humanity? Did it tell me that there never was a Holocaust? Think that history will leave the memory lost? Never hinder you, think greed and control. You're gonna fail this time when the world is sick. All that I am left inside is always filled with pride. I tell you, never again. Oh, in a place of society, didn't end up killing me. Scream with me, never again. Not again.
It's a very important song, 100%. I think people need to consistently be reminded of that period of time in history, because we can easily go there again. Easily. easily go there again, right? As for the instrumentation, I think this, for me, I find it a little bit too heavy. Like I find the instrumentation in this a little too heavy. I know that it's meant to be chaotic. I understand it because it was a chaotic time. I get what they're doing with the instrumentation, but I just find it's a little sonically it's a little heavy for me, right? But the lyrics and the actual song, very important, very important.
All that I have left inside is a soul that's filled with pride. I tell you never again. Oh, and the great society didn't end up killing me. Scream with me, never again. Oh, of the countless souls who died, and our voices fill this night. Scream with me, never again.
Statement.
Lost to see, for the truth will live in me. Believe me, never again.
Making a statement. Yeah, like I said, important song, man. And I'll tell you one thing, when the Jews said never again, they meant it. They meant it.